Hello, everybody. Good evening. I am here with my very special guest and good friend, spiritual teacher, radio host, musician, and best-selling author, Keith Anthony Blanchard from Memphis, Tennessee. Welcome.
Hello, sis.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
How are things in Memphis tonight?
Good. It's cooling off
I'm
slowly
jealous.
but surely. It's getting there.
Yeah, that's one of the things I really do miss about Memphis is autumn. So we don't have that in Florida.
You're right.
So, yeah. So for people who may not know you, I know about you. I remember when your first book came out. Remind me the name of the book.
The Divine Principle, Anchoring Heaven on Earth.
Yes, and that came out 10 years ago.
Go,
Yeah,
girl. Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. 10 years.
And it was awesome. It was a really great book. And here you are, kind of a rock and roll guy, very in tune spiritually. And I heard you speak a couple of times too, and I was really impressed because you have a really wide variety that you draw from. So why don't you tell everybody in your own words a little bit about your journey, kind of how you got to where we are today?
Pain can be an amazing catalyst. And it took that for me. A relationship breakup of 10 years. Long story short, I find myself in a dark night of the soul for about 2 years. It took me a while to get out of this funk. One day, I decided I had enough. And it's usually what it takes for all of us to get to that point of I have
Mm-hmm.
enough.
Right.
And I got down on my literal knees, but also my metaphorical knees and say, I need to hear your voice. Some people go their whole lives and say, I need to be with you, make yourself known. So people ask me, why me? I think I cracked the door open by four components. I was passionate in my asking. I was sincere in my asking. I was humbled and I was vulnerable. And I think it's these four components that I used in my beseeching, in my asking, please make yourself known to me, that opened up that cosmic door to where I began to hear, had an amazing experience. I was thrown into an experience of absolution with the light. I fell on the bed and I was standing in the presence of the divine. But I began to hear messages. That's the whole reason the voice came in the first place. Keith, wake up, press record. On your tape player, go sit on the sofa and let your mouth move. And I began to dialogue, something I've never done before. Some people call it channeling. I'm not really fond of the word. I prefer just being a facilitator of the voice or spirit. And over a course of many years, I put that together in The Divine Principle, which is my first bestseller.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And then here we
And
are
then,
later.
after I fashioned the book, I didn't want to just recite the information. I wanted to live all
Mhm.
the principles so I can know that they were solid. And this began my conscious walk, of course, but also moving into the arena of being a teacher. And as I've applied this wisdom throughout my life from the divine principle, I began to realize many, many different things on a level of integration, not only in the form of understanding something. "Oh, I understand it, I get it." No, no, no. I'm talking about something that is so much more deep and there's so much more cohesiveness to it.
Mhm.
It became, it is a part of me now versus me just an understanding of a something. It's it's default in me.
Mhm.
And knowing these things and practicing these things, I learned to fall deeper within myself in meditations and having greater capacities of sleepscape experiences. A divine man from India, who I've never met, came to me in a dream,
Mhm.
invited me to India. I said, I don't know how I'm going to do this because I just never done anything. In this dream experience, he said, don't worry about it. I got it.
Mhm.
2 weeks later, I get a phone call from a lady by the name of Debbie Jabbour who says, Keith, we have a mutual friend. Word got to me, you want to go to India to see a holy man and you're a musician and you have a low budget salary. And I said, yes, ma'am. She says, I want to give you a first class round trip ticket
Oh, that's awesome.
to go see a holy man. And I was like,
Wow.
wow, this is a. And so I began to put all these things into practice. My time with the voice for the 8 years, still today, but for the divine principle that we're speaking about. And then my time in India with God on earth, if you will, at least one of them,
Mhm.
Bhagavan Sri Satya Sai Baba. It's all brought me to a point of it's simply, Mary, a letting go process that I found within myself, and it requires everyone simply just to
Mhm.
let go. And
Mhm.
in that letting go resides everything. In nothing, wanting nothing, is everything. Well, that sounds kind of contradictory. Exactly. That's the point. They
Hmm.
cancel out each other, which leaves birth for a third component, the Trinity, the Holy Spirit, if you will. This
Hmm.
is the magic seed that everyone is looking for. I found it. I have whatever, I'm working on having it even greater.
Hmm.
What everyone is looking for. How
Hmm.
do I know that? Because I feel joyful.
Mm, that's beautiful. Yeah. So we're very blessed that you're going to be coming to see us here next weekend here in Florida.
I'm excited.
Yeah. So tell us about your new book. So that is going to be the title is the topic of your book. But tell us, yeah, there you go. Homecoming. Here, let me I have our
There we go.
uh
Homecoming, Crossing the Bridge to the Soul, which
there we
is the name of the workshop that I will be doing.
yes.
Crossing the Bridge to the Soul Experiential Workshop.
Okay. So tell us more about the book.
The book actually is, if you can see the divine principle as the father principle of my walk, this is Keith's walk. The divine principle was the birth in me, the father principle. My trip to India, which was halfway through the writing of the divine principle, would be the mother principle of
Mm,
my journey.
hmm.
Homecoming, crossing the bridge to the soul, would be that mother and father gave birth to a divine child, hybrid
Okay.
child. This is the hybrid child. And I say that it because Homecoming is a two-part series. This is the first part of the divine principle and For the Love of God, A Spiritual Journey, my book about my trip to India to see Sai Baba. Well, Keith,
Mm,
if I own one of the books already, what's the point? Well, there's a completely different point. Again, it's the third component. You're
hmm.
not just reading information. You are actually seeing an unfoldment of my life. I'm just the guy next door. I'm
Hmm.
just the guy that's going to come sit at your table when I'm on a band break from playing music and introduce myself and eat French fries out of your basket without even asking. That's me.
Your
And
friends
so
are smart.
what happens is in the reading of the first few chapters of the divine principle, after the first 3 or 4 chapters, I jet off to India. So I insert my entire book of my journey to India there, and then I come back with another chapter. So it allows the reader not just to read a cool book, but to watch the unfoldment process that simply I just went through. And all these little miracles creates a wonderment. Wow, I wonder if I can have that myself. And so I
Right.
think this is the important part of Homecoming, Crossing the Bridge to the Soul. It's truly handing you the key to the gate. This is the gate right there. It's a stargate, it's the cosmic womb. It's
Right.
where everything is birthed from the mother principle. Let's say in this analogy, this would be the father principle, understanding wisdom, inspiration, and bringing it into a conscious frame of reference.
Hmm.
This is the womb. This is the gate through which everything passes and everything is birthed. And
Mm.
so I think the dialogue between the head and the heart, not the head, the mind, I have to do this. This is part of my way. The mind usually
Ooh.
it causes us trouble
Uh-huh.
when it's clouded and shrouded. But when we have clear mind, the
Ooh.
light of the mother principle, which is the stargate, the sacred heart, fire, begins to emanate and move through the clear mind, and we find ourselves living in a state of heaven on earth. It's
Hmm.
really easy. The same light that pushes through the clear mind is the same light that pushes
Right.
through the muddled mind. There is no
Right.
difference, right? And
Right.
so it's a process of clearing, purification.
One of the things that I remember you saying, this was the first time I had heard it, was at one of your talks years ago. I've already said how many years ago it was. Um, the opposite of love is not hate. And I remember I was so excited about it, I wrote it down because that's what you assume. If you don't love someone and you really don't love them, then you hate them, but that's not true. What is the opposite of love?
There is none.
Well, fear is what you said.
Yeah, we talked about fear, but
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I now remember that dialogue now. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was very
And
faint for me.
you can't have both at the same time.
You
And
can't have
for
them at the same time. Yes, in
right,
this regard, in this arena, this plateau that we're living in, the world of duality, you can't have them both at the same time. It's
right,
literally impossible. It's almost like thinking a positive thought and trying to make a frowny face. You just can't
right.
do it.
Yeah, and for me that was a huge revelation to just to be able to conceive of that. So apologies, I'm trying to forward our broadcast to some of our other pages here. We're getting a few comments. I wanted to show you. So people are very touched by your story. Now you have your own radio show, Center of Light Radio. How often are you on the air there?
I do Center of Light Radio every Tuesday, well, Tuesdays and Thursdays, pretty much every Tuesday and Thursday at 7 p.m. Central Time.
Okay.
But you can bet pretty much the rest of the days of the week I'm on screen in my YouTube channel, my personal page, or my Center of Light on Facebook,
Okay.
doing a presentation. Just I come up with, in fact, yesterday morning I woke up and found myself filled with a title that says "Lively." What is it? Lively Life Lovers, and I just came up with the title and I just put it on a banner and I just
Okay.
sat down and lively life lovers, and I found the definition of lively and lover and love affair, having a love affair with the divine, and everything is just off the cuff. Basically I go into channel mode, which
Mhm.
I'm doing somewhat now, and the more I intend to lean into spirit versus Keith just having a wonderful time with Mary, then Keith, what I know as me, literally begins to disappear within myself, to
Right.
where I am no longer aware of this stuff that happens, which is one of the techniques I am going to be bringing to the Spiritual Fair workshop, Crossing the Bridge to the Soul Experiential Workshop.
Okay.
And that's going to be Saturday at 9 a.m. Is that right?
It's at 10.
10. I get
Yes.
an extra hour of sleep. Great.
Yeah.
But is this becoming aware technique, expanding your awareness so you will actually be able to, at least a glimpse, touch your soul. Then the work begins to keep that gate open. I will give you the information that will help you to keep that spiritual gate open so you can stay, I love the word garden, so you can be and play in the garden of the cosmic sandbox as long as you like, because it requires one to be fully aware. Fully aware. I am aware of my cat right here. I'm not looking. I'm aware. I can feel it and I know it. I have a cup of water here. I see flowers behind me. I am fully aware. This, my friend, is everything everyone could possibly want. Don't we want to know if there's a big dog hiding behind a tree waiting to maul us? Awareness. Don't we want to know that if I turn down this road, I'm going to get to my destination quicker? Awareness. Don't I want to know that if I choose this thing and that thing, or that thing, that which one is going to give me the greatest bang for my buck, so to speak, that I'm yearning for, that I desire?
Right.
Awareness it's integral to everything that is spiritual.
Right.
Awareness, absolutely.
Right. It's funny that you mentioned time change because while we're here during Spirit Fest next weekend, we do set the clocks back on Sunday morning. So an extra hour to have fun. As if 2020 didn't need to be any longer already. But yeah, so if you go to our website, the Sanctuary website, there is a link on there for Spirit Fest Melbourne where you can sign up for Keith's workshop. It is $20 and it includes admission to Spirit Fest all day. We've got speakers all day long, but you will also be doing spiritual teaching, readings, counseling at the event as well.
Yeah, people are welcome to come do the meet and greet, and some may be. I don't know the COVID situation there, so I don't know how close in proximity we can get, because I'm the kind of guy that loves hugging necks and kissing cheeks. So if that is allowed, I'm gonna hug your neck and kiss your cheek, and I don't care what gender you are.
Yeah.
Provided I intuit and I can see the body posture that's such thing is allowed. My point is, this is the kind of guy I am. I like being with people. You come
Right.
say hi and just sit and we'll chat for a moment. But I will be doing some intuitive work. I will not play the psychic card. I will not tell you if you're going to get married and you're going to find your soulmate. In fact, that the reason that you're asking that, I would probably tell you that. Well, the fact that you're asking me, who knows nothing about your life,
Mm-hmm.
when you should be the one who knows everything about you, I just
Right.
won't go down that road.
Right.
Well, now, sometimes I get intuitive promptings that say, you better divulge this or you're not going to sleep for a week.
Right.
And then I say, all right, then I'll deliver something, but I will not paint the picture so definite. I will say, here's an opportunity for you that I see that might be occurring, and I'm asking you to use this sense of awareness so you can see it coming and da 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 da, so
Mm-hmm.
forth. But I will never say, the job is coming. Or, I mean, I might say that I see an abundant window opening for you. It's going to happen
Mhm.
for you in about such, but I will never give such definites, because even if I give someone a positive piece of information, I'm actually limiting them
Mhm.
to what I think they deserve versus just saying the door is open for you, move in it, and then they can create the garden that they choose for themselves. But I will be
Right.
doing some counseling. Someone may come up to me and say, "Hey, Keith, I have this problem. I have this
Mhm.
issue. I want to move through a block." Now, I will warn you, if you sit in a chair next to me and you ask me to help you move something, I'm going to lovingly, kid glovely offer you some nuggets.
Mhm.
If I see the person is not shifting, I am
Right.
going to grab them and throw them in the moving river. I want to know how to swim. Okay, we have to breathe, and you turn your head and you stroke and you stroke and you stroke, but I don't know how to do it. And you don't want to jump into the water. You don't want to jump into the water. Well, I'm going to find something about you in my awareness as I scan the person and the situation, and literally put you. In other words, I will begin to push you towards what it is you're asking me to help you do. If you're asking me to help you in this regard, I'm going to be always respectful. But I'm going to say, okay, what you're doing is you're trying to dance, you're trying to skirt all around this situation that you're asking for. What is it you want? Do you really want me to help you? So I'm really there as being of service to the person,
Mhm.
however they choose. And if you want to play in the garden and really move into it, sometimes it requires a simple nudge, and sometimes it requires just a pat on the back and support.
Right. And this year, I'm noticing, and I'm sure the same with you, everybody just feels a little frozen, or things have ended unexpectedly, whether it's jobs, relationships, financial. And apologize again, the puppy is now decided he wants to have fun. Um, and so this year, people, I think, are feeling stuck. And sometimes it takes speaking with somebody else, especially somebody who has a little bit of insight or intuitive guidance, to just give them a little bit of clarity, to see things maybe from a different perspective.
Yeah. And so, even including myself, sometimes, not sometimes, often, we get so caught up in this game. This is a game. Well, Keith,
Hmm.
I understand that your life is sacred. You're living a sacred life. But the world out here is not real.
Right.
I know certain things are hyper important and priority as they should be.
Hmm.
But regardless, this is a game, a dance that we're involved with. And until we choose to become this place here. And in this place, we begin to navigate clearly. So the world outside is really not it at all. In fact, it's proof now. Look outside, see what's happening. Does
Hmm.
that anything outside right now represent the joy, the peace, the birthright that belongs to you? No, it
Right.
does not. So
Right.
it's nonsense. It's just complete nonsense. And sometimes we need that nudge, and including myself, we get so close to our lives that we need someone outside looking and go, you know what, Keith? I've been watching you do whatever you do for quite a few years, and you want my
Right.
thoughts about it? And then of course I go, oh, are you serious? And I say, absolutely. So they pick me up and throw me in the river,
Hmm. Hmm.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's been a weird year for sure.
And it's going to get weirder.
I know.
Lots,
And
right?
one of the things that I see that really frustrates me, and I feel it myself, I can't say just because I'm observing it doesn't mean I'm immune to it, but the polarity that we've created right now. But if we really look at history, politically, we've been divided like this for 200 years. It was like this from the beginning, that people didn't agree. But for some reason, right now, people seem to view this as good and evil. And if we could just view it for it is what it is, I think, and if we focus more on what we want to see instead of what we dislike, I think we'll see more of what we like, because we do really create our own reality to a degree. And I think that we'll see that. And I'll be glad when the election's over nonetheless, but
And that's a wonderful point, because that's it, the exact analogy I used a minute ago.
hmm, right,
Whatever we focus on, we're going to get. You can either water the weed or the plant, and wherever
right,
you put your energy in is where the situation is going to happen. You know, when I was doing all that clicking ago, we were talking about love and fear, and I feel this is pretty important about, we're talking about what is the opposite of love, which is fear. This is something from the divine principle, which you will find in the next version of Homecoming Crossing the Bridge to the Soul, part two,
Hmm.
is we're talking about love and fear. Basically being sandwiched, as if this is possible. Sandwiched between God and the devil is this chapter from the divine principle. Fear contracts, love expands. Fear works from outside to inside, love from inside to outside. Fear is the taker. It draws everything into itself and gives nothing. Fear
Hmm.
takes what it can when it can to feed a hunger that can never be satisfied. Fear creates judgment, which creates separation. All that love does is give. It nourishes itself, yet has infinite leftovers to offer everyone and everything. Love is never hungry. Love creates acceptance, which creates unity. Love is a fountain of wealth that is endless,
Hmm.
eternal. So, in the focusing on the noise on the outside, all it's going to do is kick up and mirror reflect our own internal bickering. And we're going to say, you see, I told you I was right. Donald Trump, Joe Biden, or just all the fighting about all that, the
Hmm.
fighting of racism. It sounds like, how do we get out of racism? Exactly. You have to
Hmm.
get out of racism. Don't involve yourself in it. No one is asking you to step out of support of something beautiful to make this world a unified humanity.
Right.
But if you go into a racist situation trying to be the one breaking up the fight, you
Right.
will get sucker punched as many people get sucker punched in breaking up such fights.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
how do we combat racism? You don't. Combat implies a fighting. What
Right.
you do is you become quiet and let those who want to fight fight. And when you find the most perfect, ample opportunity, time to be of the greatest influence, then you step in and
Hmm.
you pulse, be
Hmm.
it words, be it a physical shove, whatever it takes. But you have to pick, so to speak, your battles very, very wisely to become victorious. Otherwise, you're just part of
Hmm.
the noise yourself.
I love it. Pick your battles. It's the small things, just we really do need to pick what we what we focus our energies on. I see we've got quite a few viewers here. So if anybody has any questions for Keith or any comments, feel free to send them through, and then we can discuss some things. But the small things really are important. So what would you say to people that want to be out of fear, that want to kind of, go with the flow and trust the universe, but they're having trouble putting food on the table or paying the bills? What do you say to people in that position?
I understand the practical life. I live it. You cannot get out of fear. You can only go through it.
Mm-hmm.
So your way to get done and put fear behind you is it's going to require you to be afraid because you're going to have to walk into that thing that makes you afraid. So
Mm-hmm.
what do you do with that from there is really the question.
Mm-hmm.
What you do from there is okay, you wade through it. One, two, three, and you step into the threshold of this situation that you're scared to death about. Let's say it's speaking in public. You're going to always have the fear until you go on the stage and grab the microphone and start the process.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I was a kid. I was hanging out in the public swimming pool, and all my friends are diving off the high diving board. I'm going, how can y'all be doing something that scares the living out of me and having such a blast? And I said, today's the day. And so I go up the ladder, and then there's a line of kids behind me. There's no way down. You're
Mm-hmm.
doing it today, Keith. One, two, three. Oh, God, I don't want to do this. One, two, three. I don't want to do it. Then finally I jumped, and I realized when I hit the water, I didn't die. I'm okay. Then I
Right.
couldn't wait to get up the ladder. I'm pushing kids out the way to go do it again. So you cannot be out of your fear. You can only go through it. And when you go through it and you make yourself okay, it's going to feel funky. It will feel funky. I'm okay. I'm still here. This ain't so bad. And you go, I think I can take another step. And then you move into the door a little further. And then
Right.
you realize after metaphorical 10 minutes, what have I been doing to myself all this time by denying myself a greater possibility by simply being afraid, which is stifling and choking your experience.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So to get out of fear, you have to go into yourself and find the fear, love it and appreciate it, and look at it honestly. This is my fear. Instead of, oh my God, just look at it and see what it is, see what it wants. It wants attention. So, like a child, if you treat your fear like a child, a vulnerable child, hold that child, look at it, understand it. I'm not asking you to nourish it, but in such a way you're actually nourishing yourself, because you're not just, oh my God, I don't want to look at this thing. You're saying, I need to take a good look at what this really is. You may not know all the steps, and that's okay. You're wanting to move through it. Will provide the guidance and the inspiration so that you know exactly what to do to achieve the goal that you took on for yourself when you decided to move through your fear.
Mm-hmm.
It's simply the intention, because without going in, all there is tension.
I think that it's harder when we don't choose the changes, which often we don't. But there's been so much unknown that I think people worry about everything falling away, and it just seems scary. But I think if we trust the universe, that to a certain degree, the universe may know what's best for us. And even though it might not seem what we wanted at the time, it is going to be what's better for us down the road in a way that we might not even have imagined.
Trust is scary.
Yeah,
Look
it is.
around, everyone, look around your life. Who do you trust?
Right.
Well, Keith, you don't understand. No, trust me. Trust me, I do understand.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really not that person who did said thing to any of us.
Mm-hmm.
It's really that we didn't have that integral awareness to recognize a red flag from the get-go. And so we
Mm-hmm.
launch and we sling the mud on the person who did said thing. But if we had the awareness previous, we'd go, hi, John Doe. Nice to meet you. Take care of yourself. Have a good life. We move on. But
Right.
without such awareness, we find ourselves in victimization, and we no longer trust. Let's speak from a woman's point of view. I can't, but I'll try. They have issues with men. Understandably, I get it. I understand. I know the human male agenda.
Mm-hmm.
I get it. And so it comes to reason, but also because one vibrates in mistrust, it's bringing them over and over into a space of validating to
Mm-hmm.
themselves, which is, I knew I couldn't trust men. Or likewise for the guy, or whatever the situation may be about life just in general.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Trust can be scary.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely can. Nicole has a question here.
Hi, Nicole.
Besides meditating, what else can I do to move into 5D?
Be a sexy, joyful human being. What else you got? Because in doing that, you are meditating. Your
Right.
life, it becomes one of a meditativeness. Your life, it becomes an open-eyed meditation. Let's
Mm-hmm.
say you like to play in the garden. You like to mess with flowers, play with flowers.
Mm-hmm.
You're not thinking about anything else but those flowers, are you?
Right.
Whatever it is you love doing. In fact, you're not even worried about the phone, unless you're worried about the phone, and that
Mm-hmm.
becomes your hyper experience. But
Mm-hmm.
when you're doing that thing you love, God is love, God is eternal. So when you do that thing, God moves, lives, exists in you, as to why time simply fleets. Go to a doctor's or dentist's office, sit there for 45 minutes, it lasts forever. Go
Mm-hmm.
do something you
Right.
love, and it's over just like that,
Mm-hmm.
completely. So when she's asking the question, what else can I do to move into 5D? Let me give her an exact, so to speak, an exact answer. Other than meditating, what can I do to be conscious of 5D?
Mm-hmm.
Do what you love. Be
Mm-hmm.
happy for no reason. Happiness is not a destination. Happiness is a choice.
Mm-hmm. Find joy. Right.
The journey of 1,000 years begins with the first step.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing happens without that first step. Nothing. But when you take the first step, that decision to do so, inward is upward, which is forward, which is toward something.
Okay.
That first step is 500 years of your journey squashed, because
Mm-hmm.
without the first step, nothing happens.
Mm-hmm.
So the other 500 years is where the work is. But in those other 500 years, we're trying to get to a place as a future destination.
Mm-hmm.
It takes the linear mind to play the game out till we reach that destination. But
Mm-hmm.
you can bet your sweet Bippy, when you reach your destination in the future, it's going to bring you right back to here. So in reality, the place you're trying to get to is here now. This is the place you're trying to get to, is right here, right now.
Right.
So to get into 5D, don't listen to much of the pseudo spirituality that's out there. Look, I love aliens like everybody else, and I agree with that. We can get into all that nonsense and that beautiful stuff. But some people are using it to throw fishing lures. Just, play the game. If you like aliens, if you like tarot cards, that's all beautiful fun. Use that as entertainment, but return to yourself, return to you. Return to what is most important. The most important thing in the universe ever created throughout time, which doesn't exist, is you. When you take this as a practice, a disposition, an attitude, be cocky as hell if you need to be about it, and you walk around and flaunt it, that it makes you feel exuberant, that is what's going to move you through the noise, not of the world, your own noise, our own noise. I'm Keith Blanchard. I'm an author. Wow, what an accomplishment that is. Best-selling twice. I'm a musician. I play with world-renowned players. Oh, wow, I'm doing it. I do all these things. Nicole does this. Wow, Nicole, good for you, good for me. And you begin to live in this curving within the self of simply being proud of yourself and your accomplishments and being a good mother, being a good father, being a good provider, and really, really milking that divine teat and getting all the nectar out of it you can. This is what I would suggest in a long-about way.
That's wonderful. Well, you opened the door when you mentioned aliens. So you are an ET experiencer.
I am.
And you can relate to people that have had contact or feel like that they have had some type of experience too.
Yes.
So talk about that a little bit.
I have never had a bad experience. I was never taken beyond my will. I was never poked nor prodded. Never. Doesn't mean that it doesn't exist for some people. My experiences have always been of an angelic nature, a celestial nature. But early in my life, I had experiences where I didn't remember until the age of 33. This happened at the age of 8 or 9 years old. For about 2 years, I was taken out of my house. When I say taken, I don't mean I was taken beyond. In fact, I don't even know if I was actually taken. All I know is I would find myself outside in my pitch black backyard at 3 o'clock in the morning, often. And I had to use a cinder block to prop up against the wall of my house to open my bedroom window to lunge myself through, because I'm a little guy, to be tall enough to get back in my room to go back to sleep. This happened. And when about the age of 33, I was watching a program on Discovery Channel about extraterrestrials, and it all just came back.
Wow.
That part of my life was about them manipulating my energetic system, so that when the avatars, the divine beings, Satya Sai Baba, we spoke about earlier, Swamiji Visvayogi, a God-realized man in my life now that I'm able to be around often. When I say God-realized man, I am talking about God in the form of a human being. But those first ET contacts were to open me up so that I could be prepared and prepare as a spiritual teacher for these divine beings, these celestials, to come into my experience. So I've had many experiences on many different levels with others. Life is everywhere. It's on levels we don't even know that it exists.
Right.
And the rock star right now is you. Everything in the universe wants a piece of your action.
Yes.
This is how important the earth is, because we as the human being are the pinnacle of creation. Heaven on earth prophecy. Heaven. What is heaven on earth? It's not a future event. Heaven on earth is not a future event. If God is omnipresent, God is present now. Heaven is on earth. But it's for us to take those opportunities, like he explained with Nicole just a bit ago, and we've been talking about throughout this presentation or this interview, or this time with each other, is to trust, to move through the fear, to move all those things that we discussed earlier. So it takes one to become aware of that very promise that is on earth right now. I see it. I live heaven every day, simply every day.
And that's a beautiful message that we really need to hear right now. I think that's so important. So let me remind people, I've got your websites up here, centeroflightradio.com and keithanthonyblanchard.com. Then your book, Homecoming, Crossing the Bridge to the Soul, is available on Amazon. And your bestseller?
Bestseller. The first day it went number 6 in the UK. And when I did, I took a breath, and I'm so busy, but I'm about to do another push. Not that I need the title of best-selling number one. I don't need that.
Right.
But it seems that the industry does. And so I'll play the game. I like having fun. I like playing games.
Okay. Okay. And then I want to remind people that Spirit Fest Melbourne is next weekend, the 31st, November 1st, and your workshop is October 31st at 10 in the morning, 10 till 12. It's only $20 and it includes admission to Spirit Fest for the rest of the day. And it's an awesome lineup of vendors, huge crystal dealers,
Wow.
uh, healers, really just a really good array of people and just great energy. And as we know, All Saints Day is November 1st. And the reason that that was chosen, why Halloween is the day that it is that's when they say that the veils are thinnest with the spirit world. So I just thought that that was a kind of a cool time to be able to do Spirit Fest is on Halloween weekend.
And you know it's going to be a full moon, right?
Yes, that too. Yep. Right there at the beach, that Atlantean energy coming in. I've been doing a project on Atlantis, which I should be ready in about a month or so. A workshop that I'm actually doing about it. But part of what I wanted to do was determine the ley lines in Florida because I want to know exactly where I think the center of Atlantis was, like the power center, the energy center. And one of the lines goes right through Melbourne, right there. So yeah, I definitely think that it's one of the ley lines right there. There's several that go across Florida because Atlantis was right there. It was basically where the Bahamas are. That was the center, and as we know, it was much bigger. But yeah, you want to feel some good, cool Atlantean energy. That'll be good.
Mary, can I announce what I'm going to be speaking about for the workshop? There's going to be other things, but here are the four key components.
Okay.
What to expect is one that I mentioned earlier. I'm going to offer an awareness opening technique, and you will touch. It should be no way impossible that you should not get a glimmer of who you are, the expanded you. Oh my God. And you will. Another thing that I'm going to be bringing forth is a breathing technique to birth your creations. Also, a breathing technique, same breathing technique to clear anything that can show up in your life that may have been in your life for a while. But when something comes along that one of those things, this breathing technique will immediately remove it because
Wow.
breath is life, life is God, God is light. So anything that wants to put its sticky meat hooks in you will not stick. It will not become Velcro, it will not become static because the breath is going to create the vibration that will allow it to not be able to hold on. You have to, again, you have to step through the threshold. I am going to be taking a Q&A. All day for the entire workshop. Q&A. You got something you want to ask, something you want to say, something you want to contribute. Just get at it. You don't have to raise your hand. You're not in high. You're not in school. Just speak yourself when you know it's time for you to engage. When there's a pause or whatever, you do your thing. I'm also going to work with people to get out of the noise, not of the world, but the noise of your own world. Very, very important to
Yes.
get out of the noise. And also another note of warning: I can read a room like it ain't nobody's business. And once I understand who's who, if I can touch you, so to speak, you are in trouble. Because some part of you is going to die. And that's what you want. That's why you're attending the workshop. So
Okay.
in order for the new part of us, the real part of ourselves to be birthed, some aspect of us has to simply perish. And so I will be moving energy. And I will be asking permission. Can I put my hand over your heart? Can I put my hand over your back? Can I push to help clear something that may be blocked for you? So expect to leave illuminated, charged, and empowered.
2020 is a good year to unload what we do not need, more so than ever. I really feel like we're going through the eye of a needle right now and really just going to find ourselves in another place when we're on the other side. And this isn't about a virus or politics or anything. It's about our evolution. And our ascension, I think.
Without such, there would be no ascension. These are the kickstarters we need. This is the universe grabbing us, picking us up, and throwing us into the moving river.
Right.
You don't want to swim. You've been telling me you want to swim. You've been telling me you want to become illuminated. And
Yeah.
you're doing well, but you're not getting there fast enough. So Spirit says, let me grab you and throw you in the moving river. And that moving river, at least at this point of our existence, looks like COVID-19
Yeah.
and election 2020. And so there's lots of fireworks that are happening. There are two people right now on the planet that has the biggest charge. You know who they are. They're in
Yeah.
the political arena. So use it to your advantage, jump on board. I'm not saying jump on board into the political arena,
Mhm.
but understand the charge that is coming from this experience and somehow manipulate it, mold it, wield it into your own way to use as momentum to launch you
Mhm.
into your 5D, into
Mhm.
your ascension, into your heaven on earth, which exists now.
Right.
Maybe even so by letting the noise that comes off of this argument of left right political affiliation, even from these two that are debating on TV, let the power, the charge that comes from it, maybe it just reminds you how noisy that thing is. And I
Mhm.
just don't want to hear it anymore. So now in turn, you are using the power of the noise itself to launch you into quiet.
Mhm.
Wow, this is reflective. This is so noisy. I never realized that when I watched this. Maybe next time a political something happens on your feed, just use your intuition. Go, oh my God, this is just so loud.
Mhm.
You will never be allowed into the kingdom with
Mhm.
noise.
Right.
It doesn't exist.
One thing that I keep saying over and over again is that short of a full-bodied apparition of a master in the room that you're sitting in, what is it going to take for people to realize the time is now? To break your
Right.
spirituality, to lift yourself up, and to get out of this 3-day madness.
Yeah.
And there's, a lot of people on this planet, the masters, I just do not think have enough time to appear in everybody's living room. And we've been given every single sign that there is that now is the time to walk the walk, and be who we know that we can be. So I appreciate all the tools that you're giving us to be able to do that. So all right, well, I'm excited that you're going to be here. Let me go through to register for your workshop. Go to our website. There's a page for Spirit Fest Melbourne. That's next weekend, the 31st and November 1st. If you would like to know more about Keith, here are two of his websites, and we can also find you on Facebook and YouTube. You got all your videos on there from all your shows, right? From your radio show. Great.
Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of
Yeah.
every spiritual category, from astral projection to angelics to guides to anxiety, depression, to
Mhm.
how to simply expand yourself, this, that, many different
Mhm.
dynamics in the spiritual field.
Mhm. So just pick one. Who has been one of the most interesting subjects or guests or topics that you've had this year in 2020?
This year,
Yeah. Putting you on the spot now.
they're all so good. They
I
really
know. I
are.
know.
I really enjoyed these two ladies, separate, but these two ladies, they both had near death experiences.
Ooh.
Just being with people saying, all the things that I have experienced as a spiritual teacher and expanding awareness and playing in higher realities, that they were just normal, so to speak, people who went there and come back and it changed their lives, and now they're spiritual teachers say, yeah, all this stuff is really real.
Wow.
Yeah.
We need to hear that more. I think when people know we do not die and that life continues to go on and we do live forever, that really I find a certain peace from it.
Yeah,
Um,
right.
yeah. So another message that everybody needs to hear. But anyway, if you go to Keith's YouTube channel, you will be able to hear more of those interviews as well. So, well, Keith, thank you very much for being here, and for everybody that joined us tonight. This video will remain on YouTube and Facebook for people to see. And if you have any other comments or questions, you can feel free to comment even after the live feed is ended here. So anyway, thank you, and I'll see you in a couple days.
I really enjoyed my time with you again, but I
Good.
really enjoyed this with you. Your platform looks fantastic. It's nice and fresh and clean and crisp, and so are you.
Well, thank you. Thank you. All right, we'll talk soon, and good night, everybody. Thanks so much for being with us.
You are loved beyond measure. Good night. Thank you, Mary.